14th, 2024. It is good to have you here. We will be going through the intel with you. This is the Crisis Report, most comprehensive news on YouTube. And, some people are not happy with the cabinet picks that are going on right now with Trump. So we shall see. But there's a lot of people getting put into place. And, of course, the big one today was RFK for HHS. So we're going to definitely talk about all that. My wife is actually quite excited about it. So, but yeah, a lot of people are screaming from the rooftops, worried. Most specifically, big pharmaceutical companies whose stocks tanked upon the news. So there is a growing concern in officialdom that Trump is coming in and he is going to be cleaning some house. Hey, thanks so much, Kevin Grip. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, there's a big growing concern that old Trump is coming to town. He's going to be doing some things that are going to really ruffle some feathers and shake people up. So we shall see. He's definitely picking people this time that are loyal and a lot more bulldogs, I guess. I don't know how to put it. These are pit bulls, I guess. More would be a better. There's a growing concern. So we will be telling you all about it. And if you can hit that like button, do the subscribe thing and all that, that's wonderful. Darken out the bell so you get all the notifications and we get the intel. One person commented, "Oh no, what will the right-wing pundits be talking about now?" Because as I said last night, all is well. Well, no. There's a lot of things going on. We'll start with finances. We'll start with the war. I read a report. I'm actually going to be talking about it here, where the way they have set it in immigration, if they do start to do mass getting rid of people, it could really kick up problems in the labor market and possible inflation. I don't know exactly how that would work, but that's someone saying that's a possibility. There's all kinds of stuff that could happen. So all bets are off. Everything you know is more than likely going to be changing here pretty soon with all of the craziness from the post-election earthquake of about almost 10 days ago. So, friends, settle in, get yourself a nice beverage or something, and hit that like button, do the things, because we're going to be telling you all about it here on the Crisis Report. Let's get started. Sweden will allocate at least $6.9 billion to Ukraine in 24-26 as part of a military aid package. So next year and a half, 2 years, they'll be getting a lot of money. Aegis Ashore missile defense system was officially put into operation in Rzeszów, Poland. Arsenal includes 3 fixed vertical launchers, Mk-41 VLS with 24 cells for transport, launch containers with SM-3 Block 1B, SM-3 Block 2A, anti-missiles equipped with Mk-142 exo-atmospheric interceptors. I don't know exactly what all that means, but it sounds pretty tough. Taiwan plans to purchase 60 F-35A fighters, 4 E-2D Hawkeye airborne early warning and target designation aircraft, 10 Aegis-class air defense ships, 400 missiles for the Patriot air defense system from the United States worth at least $15 billion. And a hideout from Hezbollah's terrorists in the southern Beirut was destroyed today. Excuse me. Alex Jones announced that The Onion, left-wing satirical news site that was funny about 20 years ago and isn't really that funny anymore, has purchased InfoWars at auction. I hope they enjoy a clicked website of InfoWars. Nobody's going to be going back there anymore. Biden-Harris administration has stated that they will send every possible dollar to U.S. taxpayers' funds to Ukraine before Trump's presidency begins. Over the past 5 years in America, 14,000 children have undergone procedures on their gender. Use your imagination on what that means. Pritzker, Colorado governor, Pritzker's from Illinois, they launched a coalition to fight threats of autocracy. Democracy. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Colorado Governor Jared Polis have formed a coalition of governors to fight against increasing threats of autocracy and strengthen democracy during a second Donald Trump presidency. And there's the Sun-Times of Chicago, because nothing says autocracy like winning a democratic election. Today, DPS conducted mass migration response exercises in strategic areas along the border to deter illegal. There we go. Lost my place. Illegal border crossings and proactively respond to any potential surge of mass migration. DPS is working alongside our partners with the Texas Military Department, and we stand ready to hold the line at the southern border and protect Texas communities from what's going on. Any second now, on the edge of the vast precipice, militaries from the point of no return, seconds from a cavalcade of catastrophes, milliseconds from having our poop pushed in. Oh, thank you so much. Be prepared, folks. Friendly reminder from the wonderful SRD, as we lovingly call him, some random dude. Thank you so much, sir. With that one, we'll do a mandatory whoosh. Oh, yeah. All right. Texas remains ready for any potential surge at the border by reinforcing vulnerable areas along the border with Texas DPS and Texas Military Department forces, resulting in deterrence and prevention by reducing illegal border crossing. Those efforts have led to an 86% decrease in unlawful border crossings between the ports of entry. That's what we call Operation Lone Star, folks. Thanks so much, Texans. John Bolton has called Trump's AG pick, Matt Gaetz, the worst cabinet appointment in history. Why? Because you're afraid that Matt's going to come after you too, you mustachioed warmonger. Trump pledges to end electric car subsidies and promote the U.S. auto industry back to worldwide dominance because people don't want your stupid electric vehicles. Really don't. I don't. At no point have I ever been like, not even a Tesla. I want a truck. I like trucks. President-elect Donald J. Trump's pick for Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, promises to reform the United States military and purge woke generals and admirals out of the U.S. Armed Forces and end the DEI policies enforced during the Biden-Harris administration. During an interview with former United States Navy veteran Sean Ryan from Sean Ryan Show, he said, there's a chance to course correct it, but it would take the new Trump administration going forward really hard going after it really hard. How do they correct it? Well, first of all, you got to fire. He said you got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, obviously, to bring back the new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever, that was involved in any of the DEI woke-ish has got to go. Either you're in for war fighting and that's it. That's the only litmus test we care about. You got the DEI and CRT out of our military academies. You're not training young officers to be baptized in this type of thinking, and then whatever the standards, whatever the combat standards were, say, and I don't know, 1995, let's just make those the standards. And as far as recruiting to hire the guy that, did Top Gun Maverick and create some real ads that motivate people to want to serve. And there's a lot of other ways in which you could identify who gets promoted and what. So he goes on from there, but basically what he's saying is he wants to go back to basics, get us all back to where the military was about 30 years ago when it was a military. And didn't really matter what the pronouns were or anything like that. So At least several flashpoints across the 1,000-kilometer-long front line of Ukraine's troops are enduring relentless Russian air and ground assaults. Commander of an artillery unit near Kharkov, where the fighting is most intense, told the FT on Monday that Russian troops were attacking from three sides. He and his troops are ready to pull back, he said, but we don't have the order yet from the top. Kharkov and the city of Pokrovsk, 40 kilometers north, and are both critical logistical hubs for Ukraine army and are largely destroyed. Coking plant in the outskirts of Pokrovsk that's also come under attack is the largest in Ukraine and crucial to the steelmaking industry. CDS, the military think tank, estimated that by December, the front line will probably shift 30 to 35 kilometers west of this current position. That's a big move. Major General Dmytro Marchenko last month said that the Eastern Front was crumbling owing to shortages of ammunition and manpower. People are very exhausted. They simply cannot hold the fronts that they are on. Over 100 members of the Bundestag have brought forward a motion to ban the populist right AfD. It's unclear whether this motion will pass or if it will even be considered before the 23rd February election, and if it were passed, whether the German Constitutional Court would find against the AfD. Meantime, French prosecutors have recommended Marine Le Pen, leader of the populist right National Rally and favorite to become next president of France, be banned from taking political office for 5 years and in prison for 5 years in relation to a decade-old embezzlement case. European establishment closing ranks, coincidence. So nothing says democracy like basically trying to lawfare and completely ban your opposition party. I mean, what hypocrisy can I call out on that one? It's just ridiculous. Here's an idea. You won't have to ban people if your policy positions don't suck. Just saying. Maybe you should go and listen to what your populace is saying and your population and go, hey, what do you guys want? And then do it. Not some technocratic super Euro trash, whatever the hell it is that you guys are doing over there. There's a reason why you're getting your butt kicked every turn. It's because your policies suck. Own up to it. Fix it. Spanish newspaper La Vanguardia on Thursday said that it would cease publishing its reports on X, the social media platform owned by Elon Musk, which it said because of a disinformation network. All of them leave. Go join Blue Sky or whatever the new one is and die with it on the vine like Threads and all the others, and we'll be over on X sharing free information. Iran nuclear chief promises countermeasures against any foreign pressure. Iran nuclear installations should not be attacked, IAEA chief says. Trump praises Elon Musk, saying his help in winning the 2024 election will never be forgotten. Nearly 100,000 homes have been damaged in a year of Hezbollah-Israeli fighting in Lebanon, World Bank has stated. And India's capital shuts all primary schools due to smog. Israel has targeted a high-rise apartment building this morning in Beirut, leading the building to partially collapse. Pennsylvania House of Representatives introduced legislation today that would allow the state to hold Bitcoin on its balance sheet as a reserve asset, part of a broader push to recognize Bitcoin as a store of value. Matt Gaetz's resignation letter says, I hereby resign as United States Representative. Trump officially nominates RFK as the Secretary of Health and Human Services. What's that? What's that you hear? Why, yes, that is the sound of liberal heads exploding and pharmaceutical jets firing up to go to places far, far, far away. Nancy Pelosi, 84, has filed re-election in 2026. Good news, folks. Nancy's not going anywhere. Air Force intercepted 2 drones launched from the east over Syria tonight. This is the addition to the UAV that was intercepted yesterday in the area of the Gulf of Eilat and probably who also arrived from Iraq. In the last 2 weeks, about 70 drones were launched into Israel About 90% of them were intercepted. A significant part of them was sent from Iraq. Republicans have officially won their 218th seat, taking control of the House of Representatives. In the last 2 days, the Air Force attacked more than 30 terrorist targets in the Dakhia area in Beirut. Among the targets, military depots and terrorist headquarters. Fighting between Hezbollah and Israeli troops has moved deeper inside Lebanon. Reports of clashes in the area of Chama, 5 kilometers from the border. It appears the IDF has begun the second phase of its ground operation as troops and tanks advance towards Hezbollah's second line of defense. Israel increased the rate of attacks in Beirut, and is just the last 2 days, over 40 Hezbollah targets in the area were attacked. Nigel Farage's Great British News is officially getting more views than both Sky News and BBC News. Last night, they achieved 130% of the Sky News audience and 108% of the BBC News channel, because both of those news sources outside of Great Britain News are terrible, and they are not exactly enjoyed by the public. The entire world will bear witness as the complete downfall of the Zionist regime fulfills the triumph of righteousness over falsehood. This is a divine promise. The party of God shall prevail, and the party of evil shall face defeat, said Ali Fadavi, IRGC Deputy Commander, on Thursday. Meanwhile, IDF spokesman Avia Adre issues an evacuation notice before an attack on Nabatea, southern Lebanon. About 40 minutes of pursuit, UAV exploded in the Alekhim area. Reports of casualties on the spot are being investigated, just one of many drones being chucked about. An abandoned base of the Lebanese army was used by Hezbollah to fire rockets at Haifa. IDF spokesman in Arabic, Avichai Adre, writes this evening that a few days ago, Hezbollah fired rockets at Haifa from Ansar area in southern Lebanon, about 30 kilometers from the border, about 70 kilometers from Haifa. The shooting was carried out from an abandoned base of the Lebanese army. This attack proves Hezbollah's cynical exploitation of the capabilities of the state of Lebanon and its citizens in order to carry out terror acts. An abandoned base of the Lebanese army was used by Hezbollah to fire rockets at Haifa, IDF spokesman said that a few days ago Hezbollah fired rockets at Haifa from the Ansar area, southern Lebanon, 30 kilometers from the border, 70 from Haifa. Shooting was carried out, abandoned base, Lebanese army. Attack proves Hezbollah's cynical exploitation of the capabilities of the state of Lebanon. That's a redo. Trump's first promise to Israel, quote, on the first day of my term, I will I will cancel all restrictions and delays in the transfer of armaments and combat equipment. Did you expect anything less? No. U.S. Department of State, we do not agree with the report of the UN Committee on the occurrence of genocide in Gaza, and those are accusations without evidence. Trump to universities. Stamp out anti-Semitism or lose accreditation. Trump added that any colleges that permit anti-Semitic violence will be seen as violating the civil rights law. Seattle finally has started to throw shoplifters and other petty criminals in jail for the first time in 4 years. 9/11-style terror attack thwarted by FBI in Austin, Texas. FBI Houston on Thursday announced the arrest of a man they said tried to provide support to ISIS and admitted to planning a terrorist attack on U.S. soil. Documents show he was also connected to a plot to harm former President George W. Bush. Authorities said 28-year-old Anas Saeed was doing this all from his apartment in far west Houston. So, yep. That's what happens when you have an open border. Bucks County Democrat commissioners have ignored the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling against counting misdated ballots after the election day. Democrat commissioners Diane Marcellia and Bob Harvey voted to count the illegal ballots in hopes of defeating the Republican Senator Elect Dave McCormick. Quote, I think we all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country. Okay, yeah, just sell out 246 years of legal doctrine. And people violate laws anytime they want. For me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it, remarked Democrat Commissioner Diane Marcellia. What an arrogant statement. This is in spite of Pennsylvania's Supreme Court ruling that judge misstated ballots cannot be counted after Election Day. Former U.S. Treasury Secretary and NEC Director admits that the point of lax U.S. immigration was to cap labor wages to subjugate United States middle and working class to support the United States Treasury market. Certain Washington, D.C. interests in Wall Street were involved, which has driven record U.S. wealth inequality and political instability. Quote, I think every sensible American thinks we need to do more to secure our border, but if you're talking about deporting millions of people, that is an invitation to labor shortages and bottlenecks. I hope Trump will get the message from this election and adjust his program so that it is not inflationary. I certainly hope that if this program is inflationary, it will not be accommodated by the Federal Reserve. So, sounds like he's concerned about all that. I don't know the truth to any of this, but I thought it was worthy of putting it out there for you to check. Big Pharma stocks plummeted today shortly after the RFK Jr. announcement. Kremlin says that the opening of U.S. missile defense base in Poland will lead to retaliatory measures taken by Russia. Turkey says it has cut off its relations with Israel for real this time. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Trump's promise to end the Ukraine conflict in one day. Quote, I don't want to focus on that, end quote. In an interview, the Russian Foreign Minister noted that the same Minsk agreements are being presented, but in a new packaging. They still talk about as if it were, let's work on the contact line, a 10-year truce, and then we will see, he said. Donald Trump has declined to include Jamie Dimon of J.P. Morgan Chase on his administrative board. Florida has filed a lawsuit against FEMA, accusing the agency of discrimination and claiming it withheld aid from Trump supporters. The woman at the center of the DOJ's investigation into Representative Matt Gaetz testified before the House Ethics Committee, claiming he had made love with her when she was 17 years old. Los Angeles Police Department is investigating the death of a newborn boy in downtown Los Angeles, suspecting he may have been dropped from a fourth-floor bathroom window. Ugh. Shortly after his mother gave birth. Terrible. John Brennan claims that Tulsi Gabbard lacks the appropriate perspective to serve as Director of National Intelligence. Does she need more of a communist perspective, Mr. Brennan? So you are a former Communist Party USA person, if I remember correctly, Mr. Brennan. Israeli official has denied Washington Post report claiming that Israel prepares Lebanese ceasefire plan in a gift to Trump. This is reported all over, and they're basically saying there's going to be no ceasefire. We're not doing this for Trump. We're doing it if they do it. Whatever they do, they're just saying it's Israel. They're not going to do anything for anybody else. Decision Desk HQ projects David McCormick will win the U.S. Senate election in Pennsylvania. Senator Rick Scott, Florida, has talked with RNC co-chair Laura Trump about her interest in filling the Senate seat to be vacated by Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, and is now pushing for her selection, according to Axios. That'll make some people's heads blow up, having more Trumps in. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ordered mass production of suicide drones. Elon Musk, a close advisor of President-elect Donald Trump, met with Iran's ambassador to the United Nations on Monday in New York in a session two Iranian officials described as a discussion of how to diffuse tensions between Iran and the U.S. The Iranians, who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss policy publicly, described the meeting as a positive and good news. United States will send weapons to Ukraine weekly in order to have time to allocate the remaining aid in the amount of $7.1 billion before Joe leaves, according to the Pentagon. President-elect Donald Trump transition team is reportedly drawing up a list of military officers for potential dismissal, which may include members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The initiative, still in its early stages, reflects Trump's previous criticisms of defense leaders, particularly following the 2021 Afghanistan withdrawal. Focus appears to be on officers associated with former Joint Chiefs Chairman Mark Milley, whom Trump allies view as disloyal. Milley called Trump a fascist in his book. Pete Hegseth, Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense, has expressed a willingness to implement significant leadership changes within the Pentagon. Trump's defense secretary pick, Pete Hegseth, says he believes in the potential rebuilding of the Third Temple in Jerusalem. Quote, "There's no reason why the miracle of reestablishing the temple on the Temple Mount isn't possible." Excuse me. Polish President Duda says he is confident that Trump will not allow Russia to destroy Ukraine. Trump hates to lose. He's a born fighter. He respects, as we also know, the money of American taxpayers. German MPs were briefed by the Federal Civil Protection Agency that if Ukraine collapses within the next 6 months, an estimated 10 million Ukrainians could flee westward, with 2 million heading to Germany. Unofficial estimates suggest up to 18 million refugees, including 3 to 4 million, to Germany. Another first, North Korea's longest range non-rocket artillery weapon, 170 millimeter M1989 Koksan SPG, has been spotted somewhere in Russia. Range up to 40 kilometers with standard munitions, up to 60 kilometers with rocket-assisted shells. Firing rate capable of firing 1 to 2 shells every 5 minutes. And let's see what happened this week. IDF, it carried out strikes in Syria with the footage. IDF claims it attacked Palestinian Islamic Jihad buildings as well. And the SMO, what's the latest? Well, the battle for the city of Kupiansk has now begun. After several mechanized attacks, the Russians appear to have succeeded in gaining a foothold in the city. However, the current information situation does not indicate whether the Russians have been able to hold on there so far. There are reports of fighting around the sugar factory. Same time, further smaller attacks by the Russians are taking place across the front in order to tie up the U.S. many Ukrainian personnel as possible. Ukrainian launch further counter-offensives around Toretsk. Ukrainians are said to have retaken large parts of Lyodovivka, but the Russians are also advancing in the direction of Pokrovsk and Kupiansk. In Kharkov, the Russians are said to have taken large parts of the eastern part of the city. Russians probably already have fire control over the southern route. That's, in the direction of Uspenivka, the Russians were again successful, although they are not. They are now close to Uspanivka, in the direction of Velika Novosilka. Activity is also steadily increasing there. The Russians are advancing to the east and west and threatening the town from the other three directions. And that is what's going on across your world. Harvest time, nuclear blackmail. Ukrainian defense is about to collapse. And it seems that the Israeli attacks on Syria are gradually getting regular. The Israeli Air Force has now conducted 3 aerial attacks on Damascus in the last 10 days, causing a great number of casualties. So, no holding back, no stopping, folks. Yep, war, gonna war. That's your crisis report for November 14th, 2024. Hit that like button. Join us here. Get the email or Substack in an email here by joining. It's a great way to do it. And just subscribe. All right? All right, folks. God bless. That is your crisis report. We will see you on the next one.